This is a serious video, so there will be no intro or music. What's going on, folks? It's your boy Myron the Slavic Wolf, and I'm back with another video. So I'm doing this video in a spurt, as it carried me away from other business. To make the long story short, to all Yu-Gi-Oh players, do not join this server, as it is filled with some of the most unhinged, bigoted, and disrespectful people you will ever meet, and it is run by someone who should not be on Discord. About a few months ago, I was invited to a server run by someone called Shadow Spectre. Someone's edgy by the way, and it seemed like a chill server for people to vibe and talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel and other Yu-Gi-Oh! Related content. Everyone there seemed cool, but today, some of them exposed themselves as shitty people, plain and simple. One of the main offenders is this person here. No cap, he's just an old ass man. Supposedly one of the oldest people in the server. And this dude is an asshole. Earlier, I had a bit of a problem with another user, let's call them Geo, who admittedly, I've had a back and forth with for quite some time. Some of it might have been me getting a bit more heated than most would, but even they admitted that there were times when they were genuinely being rude. Even then, I chose to take it as a joke during the early stages because for the most part, they were indeed joking. It just got kind of annoying after a while. This context matters because when discussing a Yu-Gi-Oh! Related topic, I'll just say it. I don't think Tearlament is the best deck ever. I felt as though Geo was interrupting me. A similar situation happened earlier that day. By interrupting, I meant just straight up making assumptions without letting me finish typing what I needed to say so that I wouldn't have to resort to writing one massive wall of text just for important context to fall on deaf ears. You may not think it's possible to interrupt someone on text, but I assure you, it very much is, and in some cases, it's bigoted to think otherwise. This is one of those cases. As someone who's had autism since the age of 3, I've had to overcome many obstacles growing up. One of them included having slightly shaky hands and fingers. This makes it impossible for me to draw with my hands, my overall handwriting is trash, and sometimes I'll have to spread arguments across one paragraph into a few separate sentences. I do this to avoid forgetting what I was talking about, in addition to having many slip-ups with typos and/or poor grammar in general. When I tried to explain that situation to them, Geo was relatively understanding, while this other piece of shit and another user, we'll call them Craig, proceeded to gang up on me about it, saying that I was quote-unquote making excuses, or crying about it. At this point in the discussion, I admit that I was partially unsure if they were talking about my condition or my slow typing. But either way, this manner of speaking is one that was genuinely uncomfortable for me, as it came off as ableist and bigoted. I told them I found it rude that they were talking down to me like this, but in addition to saying that I was being overly sensitive, Craig proceeded to recall all the times I've argued with Geo in an attempt to discredit me, hiding it under the guise of defending Geo. First of all, we are all adults, Geo included. If you're gonna fight their battles for them, at least do it without crashing out like a 6-year-old. Secondly, the comments that Craig perceived as rude were not initially directed towards Craig, they were directed towards Geo. I understand the two are friends, but the way Craig went about trying to defend Geo created two issues. 1. The comments he perceived as rude ended up being directed towards Spencer because he chose to get personally invested in the situation. And 2. He ended up giving off prejudice vibes. At no point was I using my condition as an excuse for anything, and nothing I said, which wasn't even all that rude, warranted a reaction like that, especially considering the main reason you were upset was something that honestly doesn't mean shit anymore. Then there's Morabito, who straight up said the equivalent of, sucks to suck, in response to my condition, and when I tried to confront him in DMs, he falsely accused me of threatening him, and continued to be a condescending dick about everything. Thankfully, Geo agreed that Morabito was the asshole in this situation. But as for Craig, if you're watching this, I truly don't believe I said anything that rude, but I am man enough to apologize for upsetting you. Again, nothing I said that you thought was rude before things escalated was directed towards you. You don't have to like me, I don't have to like you, but I hope that you and I can at least try to talk this out. Unlike with Morabito, I don't believe there's evil in you. I just think you got a little emotionally invested into a misunderstanding, and so did I, which ultimately led to the conclusion that you were mocking my condition, which I can admit was wrong of me to assume. If it's anything, Geo and I are cool now. But as for Shadow Spectre, your decision to time me out and ban me while Morabito gets off scot-free leads me to the conclusion that you are a terrible Yu-Gi tuber, a terrible Discord serve owner, and a terrible person in general. And it goes without saying that Morabito is equally as bad. What makes this situation worse is that Gio, Craig, and Murabito were all mods at one point or another, and we all know how I feel about unprofessional mods. TV Rose. And once again, I never threatened the server. I specifically told Murabito not to mention me unprovoked, to which you childishly resorted to one of the corniest insults in the book, calling me Will Smith. Like Jesus are you 10? Anyway, before we wrap things up, I wanna address a few more things about myself. I'm only a jerk when being nice doesn't work. I'm rude when presented with a bad attitude. If that makes me unlikable to some, so be it, as real ones know I'm not some pushover. But I'm also not some hostile jackass looking to start shit like these two sons of bitches made me out to be. I'm not sensitive, y'all are insensitive. The fact that you grew up to be bad people is no one's problem but yours. That's really all I have to say for now, guys, and to the people mentioned in this video. Gio, you're alright. Craig, I hope you understand where you messed up, into Shadow and Murabito, blow a fat one and get on somewhere. Y'all are too damn grown to be acting like angst emo teens.